So we are in that part of the year where we see our slow decline of our discretionary funds because our income in the spring never matches our expenses. Income is just always down in the spring, and it recovers at the end of the summer. So if there's anything you can do about that, that would be great. We were able to possible. So far, we have not started dipping into that. And as we see how much money still comes in over the course of the project, it'll determine how much we have to dip into that. But we have it if we need it. We needed to have that prepared in order for our builder to be willing to sign the contract. So we're prepared on that side as well. As far as the rest of the finances, I am willing to talk with anybody for any length of time after finances.
Finances, about Jerry's stuff.
Not personally me.
Are you and Lynette doing really well?
We're in the black. So anybody have any questions? And if it's not something you want to ask out front, like I said, I'm willing to speak with anybody about anything.
All right, thanks.
All right, thanks.
Thank you very much, Jerry. Okay, so Scott McDonald, he needs no introduction, but I want to say this because I want to say it every time I get a chance. Tim McCall, who's been building things for, I think, 3 decades and worked on a lot of sizable projects, grabbed me and stopped me one day in the office and said, "Do you know how good Scott McDonald is?" And I said, "No, why don't you tell me?" He said, "He's an engineer of engineers, and he has saved you a lot of money already. He is really, 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 really good at what he does." Scott McDonald.
So this is way introduction. We kind of changed the title from a remodel. Technically, our permit still is a remodel, but the level of changes that are required because of the damage found feels more like a rebuild. So we'll do that. So these are our topics for tonight. I'll give you a status update where we are. We had a couple of changes in plan, and so we'll cover what those are. We'll talk about schedule and budgets, and then Susie's going to talk about all the finishes, and Gino will finish up on finance. So the current status is we started, which is great. So since the last time we talked in September, we hired Tim. We're in discussions with another GC, but he ended up basically telling us he lost a couple of key personnel, and he basically decommitted and said, "I can't do it." So the Lord provided Tim for us, so which has been great. We've gone through that process, and as part of that, that was some of the adjustment in prices was associated with that, as we were getting firm bids from his suppliers and his subs, and some went down, some went up, and so we netted out of that. Great, thank you. So the main thing that's changed from a feature perspective is the elevator is in plan now. So we'll have an elevator to go up and down. It's called a Lula, which will be fully ADA compliant, but it is has limited use and limited application is what that stands for, because of the and when you get in it, you realize it because they're not speedy. They'll get you there, but it'll take a while. But it can lift. So it's got all the features. It's just made to be. It's intentionally slow. That's the way to say it.
Does it run on a car battery?
No, it doesn't do that. It's not that small. It's not quite that bad. Think more like a forklift in terms of lifting, but with hydraulics. So that's the big change in plan. Everything else is we're just tweaking through stuff. So it's essentially what we've agreed to do and deciding what we're doing and not doing and those sorts of things as we've gone through it. Probably the biggest thing that I want to talk about tonight is our original plan was to implement the education wing and actually get it all the way through to almost completion so we could get a temporary certificate of occupancy. And then the idea was we would move out of here into that space and then fix the restrooms. The problem with that plan is that that puts us with a CO in November. And so we've had lots of discussions with the board and others in terms of trying to, how do we pull that in? How do we get it a sooner date? And so, go ahead. We propose the following, is basically to be able to run them concurrently, we basically need to start on the bathroom at the end of May. Bathrooms where? These are back here. So the proposal and the current plan is that we will, we'll continue to use this building, but we're gonna basically, you'll see corridors pop up going in and out, and the bathrooms will be basically shut down. And so for 2 months, roughly, from the end of May till the 1st of August, we'll be using porta potties. And Gio really likes this idea. What that will allow us to do is basically accelerate everything, so that everything's running in parallel. Is it working okay? Yeah, okay. Obviously, that comes from, with some sacrifice from you guys, from us. But as we talked to the board, it was the decision to try to get done so that by, hopefully, when I show you the Gantt chart in the second schedule, it's showing first part of September. But right now, I'm just saying September, so it'll be in there in that time frame. But if we stay on schedule, we'll be at the first part of September. We'll have our CO, and we'll be back in the building completely. We'll talk more about that in a second. Certificate of occupancy. So this is a little bit redundant, but just for emphasis, we'll still be meeting in here. So we've had conversations with inspectors, and everybody seems to be okay with that concept. We'll continue to have those dialogues before we pull the final trigger and say, okay, we're ready to roll. But that's the plan. Building guy seems to be fine with it. So we'll have basically corridors for fire exits. We'll keep this available for egress. There'll be egress out the back, but you'll end up seeing a lot of plywood likely when we're in the foyer, especially in areas that we're working at that time. But basically, we'll be working during the week, and we'll clean up for the weekend, and so that we can get in and out of the doors. Schedules. So with that plan, here's these are high-level dates to kind of give you reference points, and then I'll put a Gantt chart up with some other highlights on it. So basically, we started the first and get out of the way for the plumbing guys, it looks like the framer the May, and then we're targeting the 3rd or the 10th to have them back up. And that'll require a temporary CO for us to do that, temporary certificate of occupancy to use them. We'll have to clear that with plumbing inspectors to make sure that goes. The building guy, I think, will be fine, but there'll be plumbing that probably makes that call. And then their final CO in September. Go ahead. Yeah. So let's see what you can see. All right. So, what's that? So what we're going to do is we're actually going to print a big chart, and we'll hang it over here so that if you're interested in all the gory details, you can see them in terms of what we're doing. What I tried to do on this chart was just sort of show some basic dates on here as we go across of what's going on. The key messages, if you look at the chart, is basically the bottom half of it is the restrooms down here. So that's all that activity running in parallel with everything above it to finish up the education wing. You can see the dates came off there in terms of roofing complete and those kinds of activities. Drywall is done by the middle of July, and we're into finish work. HVACs will be operational first part of August, because we have to have them running to get the floors in and some of the towel work before, so they need humidity control. And so that's kind of the flow as you see like that. So we'll put a big chart like this version over here hanging on the wall. So if anybody's interested in all the gory details of what's going on and where we are and things like that. I'll probably put a red tickers to follow current status, so you can kind of see where you're going and how we're progressing against the schedule. Okay. So in the September meeting, we reported a cost of $1.2 million. The current plan, as you see it with the elevator, and all of the input we've gotten from Tim, will be at 1.4. So about a 200K increase over September. And a lot of it was, just as an example, the original HVAC plan that we had, when we got all the quotes in, they came in at 100, this is the heating and air conditioning system. Right. The heating and air conditioning system, the price came in at $180,000 for the quote. We changed the design, so that we couldn't afford that one. So we're back down to $125,000 at this point. So that's some of the trading we've been doing, trying to pull stuff down, redesign, and get a different price point. But at the end of the day, we had some go up and down, and we ended up with about a 200K. All right, I'll stop here for a second for questions about anything on the building process or what's going on. Go ahead. You want to step to the mic so I can hear you?
Are we okay with the rain coming in right now? Noticed a lot of cooling of water.
What we've done is basically we've pulled everything off, and then we've sealed. This has a temporary seal on top of where it was set over the top of the sanctuary, and then the rest of it's just running into the area in there. And we can't do a lot about that, except get dried in as fast as we can.
Okay, it's not a problem. We don't think.
I mean, it's no different than any house build, right? Where you're in the middle of it and you haven't tried in yet. You know, you try to go as quickly as possible so that you can have enough time for everything to dry out.
Deb Hoskaka has a question about how the exterior walls of the second floor got raised. She had missed that was going to happen and wondered if you would just let her know what happened.
Sorry, how they got raised?
The fact, R-A-Z-E-D, the fact that she was surprised.
All right, so what happened on the upstairs is once we finished the interior demo, the level of rot was so high that every framer I talked to said, it's not worth fixing. Take it down and rebuild it, it'll be cheaper. So essentially it became an economics discussion because there was so much rotten wood, and by the time you look at trying to save it, and that you couldn't save sealing it or treating it for mold and then sealing it, it was like, get rid of it. So that was the conclusion. So we just took it down. It was much cheaper to do it that way than it was to try to fix it.
So, kind of a follow-up. What do you figure the odds are of something similar, unexpected on the bathrooms? Is that a possibility? I know it's never seen ever, but.
It's always a possibility, and we still carry contingency in our budgeting. Because we have found a few surprises, in our big dig over here, in the hallway. What was labeled on the drawing as a 1 foot wide piece of concrete turned out to be 4 feet wide. And they just finished boring a 6-inch hole through it. So that took a while. That we had to build a special jig for it, and.
Right now, there's.
Oh, yes, it's got a lot of concrete. A lot of concrete. So there are, to that point, there always are things, and so, especially when we're cutting concrete, and so, you know, might we run into something? It's always possible. I'll tell you, one thing that we did discover is that as we were cutting out to put in the new bathrooms, all the concrete we cut dropped, which means the pipes were leaking underneath it, and were basically the dirt had washed away, and as soon as it got clear, they dropped. So they fell, they had to dig them out. They didn't fall that much, about 3 or 4 inches. But we asked him, I said, is that normal for cast iron? He said, oh, all the time, normal. So I'll be gone. So that wasn't didn't cause any difference. It was like, okay, that's expected behavior, right? If you've had cast iron and it's no longer functioning well. Other questions? We'll be up here the whole time, so if something comes up when you're thinking about it, I want to give Susie lots of time so she can tell you about what things are going to look like and on the inside.
Scott? feeling about it?
I feel good. Feels great to be started. That was a great day when you just see the walls coming. Actually, Missy and her girls, when they come over, that was always a great time of the day. When they were doing the demo, they would stand up front, and all of a sudden they'd see this, whoosh, whoosh, and you would go, wham! They come flying down, and all you hear this, yeah! We had a cheering squad. It was great. They all looked over there and they'd wave. Okay, you're on.
Okay. Okay, so I get to share with you guys, like you said, the finishes that we've got going on. Most of the things are pretty well decided upon. There's a few little, like borders of things that aren't quite finished, but we're working on that too. So the flooring that you're seeing up there now is going to be what's in the main foyer. So because that's going to be torn up because of the bathrooms, we're going to replace it. It's a luxury vinyl tile, which is really tough, like Walmart uses it in their entryways, but it's prettier than, what like a public school has, but just as durable, we're assured. And so just for a frame of reference, this is a wood look that we're going with, and those tiles are about 7 inches by 48 inches long. So you can kind of visualize about 4 feet long, 7 feet wide. So that's for the foyer. Then the restrooms in here are going to be, I don't know if that color, it's not too bad up there. It looks really washed out here. But the biggest piece there on the bottom left is the flooring. And then the white tiles above that they're like giant subway tiles. And they go up the wall, 5 feet or so? And then above that is just painted drywall. And then the wood-looking there on the right is the toilet partition. So they've got kind of a wood look to them. So very neutral palette, but I want you guys to go in the bathrooms between now and then and really look at them. That's what I've been doing. I've been going in there really looking at them and going, man, this is going to look good soon. Well, I know, me too, but now I'm saying do it. Because in just a few short months, they're going to look like this. They're going to be really pretty.
Susan, do you have, show and tell, do you have pieces of?
I do. Do you want me to hold them up? Okay. My box of goodies. Okay. Okay. So that's the subway tile that goes up the wall, the giant subway tile. That's the floor, and that's the toilet partitions. You'll see how that looks so pretty together. All right. Thank you. Ooh, and ah. Okay, what's next, Scott? So sorry, go ahead. How many toilets will we have? We'll have, go ahead.
So in the women's, there'll be 3, there'll be 2 in the latrine.
3 in the women,
2
in the men, and a latrine,
and then we'll have 1 in the family room.
and then a family restroom over here. Can y'all believe that, ladies? 3 toilet stalls? We've hit the lottery, I'm telling you. Okay, so this is the same flooring that you just saw in the foyer. It's going to be carried out and through the hallways, in the coffee area, down the hallway, and into the family room, and also the big main room upstairs as well. So again, that luxury vinyl tile, that same wood look, the exact same flooring, that wood look. And then in this image, you can kind of see a lighter border going on. So that's going to be in the family room. We'll have that light border as well as the upstairs main area. Now the plan, depending on labor costs, is for the family room tile to be laid out in that herringbone style, so it gives it just a little bit of a fresh look. So that's the family room and the upstairs main room. Okay, so our classroom, what you're seeing there is 3 different colors of tile, and the tiles are this big, And so we're gonna do some patterns with them, probably different in every classroom perhaps, but we're going for a more neutral look. We'll have a wall that's painted a single color, one of the walls painted a color in each room, and then rugs on the floors. But we wanted that neutral palette to kind of go from. So that's the size of the tile. That's all right. And then these are the coordinating too. So y'all can kind of see how they're gonna go together. And so what this is just showing some of the pattern ideas that we can have in the classroom. Like I said, they will be those neutral colors you just saw, but there's all kinds of layouts we can do. We can do it totally random, we can do more of a pattern, so we're still working through what the exact patterns are gonna look like. But most likely, slightly different pattern in every room. Okay? So this is just an example to show you. I mentioned the accent wall. Each of the rooms will have an accent wall of varying colors. We'll look at the colors in just a minute. And then the infant and toddler rooms will have the sink and the countertops and the built-in cabinetry. Just the infant and toddler rooms. The other rooms will have movable furniture, cabinets, and things like that. So my colors always end up looking really pastel-y. They're not quite that pastel in real life, but the idea is you don't want these super bold colors in these kids' classrooms because they're too aggressive. And so looking at different color schemes and so forth that are going to be soothing to the kids, they encourage learning, all those kinds of fun things. And so these are the kind of the color palette we're looking at. It's more of those lighter colors and along those kind of lines. Maybe not so Eastery as they look up there. Not there's anything wrong with Easter colors, but nothing. Okay. And then the children's, or the education wing restrooms will be a little bit different from the ones in here. That gray tile is the floor. And that's that, and it's that size. And then the white tile that you see this actually has a texture to it. I don't know if y'all can see that. It's got little dots going on. So it's got a really neat little texture to it. And that, again, goes up 5 or 6 feet and then paint above that. And then around the mirrors is some decorative tile along these lines. And that's all in the education wing. Okay. Yeah.
Can you go back to the toddler coloring?
Uh-huh.
So is it the top colors or the bottom colors?
It's mostly the top colors, but it's kind of that range of colors. We haven't specifically picked out what exact colors yet. But kind of gets the lightness of them, not like a stark primary colors going on, but some of the more muted colors.
How does yellow rose be red? How does yellow on the left side, yellow, and then the rose below, how is that arranged?
They're not coordinated to each other. These are color sample ideas that we're looking at. So the range of colors would be from that rose color through blue in those light, hues that we're looking at. Does that make sense?
What's the top and what's the bottom?
They're all just different color ideas. They're not necessarily coordinated to each other. They were just the colors we were looking at. Yes?
Separate question.
Yes?
You said giant subway tiles. I don't know what a subway tile is. Now, I know you showed it, but I don't know what it is.
A subway tile, it's just the name of the tile. It's like this big.
3 by 6 inches.
It's just a tile that's very common that people use in kitchens and things like that. So this is kind of a modern, updated look from a subway tile.
So the original typical that's used in a subway, so if you look at subways, and they use the tiles, it's kind of a small size, about like this. But the cost for installing is a lot higher, there's a lot more ground.
Yeah.
So they've got these, put the bigger ones to give you a similar look, but it's less expensive to install.
And looks less like a subway. Other questions?
Yeah.
Yes.
We're gonna, think about a kitchen.
I'm gonna hand it over to Gino.
Sure. So the question is, are we gonna hear anything about a kitchen? The answer is, sure. The kitchen was not in the plan, ever, never, ever. but we had to, destroy some of the walls, because there was more damage there than we initially, thought. And we will come back with tile on the walls.
Actually, we're gonna use a treated,
Why don't you come up when you talk so people hear you?
So what we're doing in the, kitchen right now is, for the walls, there'll be like a laminated, drywall, so it's a scrubbable surface on it. And we're using, the polymer, acoustic tiles, so everything's like you would see in like a commercial kitchen, so you can scrub it.
So the polymer acoustic tiles, the flooring?
No, the flooring will just be one of our LVTs. It will be that. This is on the wall, so it's not a tile, it's actually part of it's a laminate that goes on the top of the drywall.
Okay,
So it's a big sheet,
okay.
so it's easy to scrub. Yes, sir.
What's an LBT? What's an
LVT, the luxury vinyl tile that we were just talking about,
So the tough stuff.
the tough stuff. So what it's made of, it's basically got a really thick wear layer on it. That's the big difference with it. So it's got there, and so it takes less maintenance to take care of it, which is good for us. Go ahead.
Okay, so what about shelves and cabinets and
Okay.
appliances and all of that?
Okay, so here's our thinking currently, and that is, we're must put in, a nice stainless steel sink, according to code. So the sink is gonna be big stainless steel looking thing. And then, okay, there we go. We've had these conversations a lot.
So, because we initially were gonna try to do a 3-compartment stainless steel sink. By code, that makes us have to put in a floor drain and just drain it through an air gap. And, the problem we have is we don't have enough fall to put in a floor drain right now. So we just had to make that call, we had to kill our floor drain. So we'll end up being a 2-compartment something. And so we're trying to figure that out, but it'll have to be drained through the wall because we don't have enough drop with the way the sewer line is outside in the courtyard.
What do you mean by drop?
All of the sewer lines are basically, gravity feed. So I need between 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch per foot of fall to get it so the water runs and doesn't pool in the
Downward slope.
yeah, down to the sewer line. Yes,
So will the sinks be deep?
that is the objective. Yes.
Former restaurateur.
All right, so when we're talking about the kitchen, you just think minimalist. It will be functioning, but it will be minimalist. Our plan right now is to put in, stainless steel shelving, to have a rolling thing in the middle, no permanent middle, aisle. And then we have appliances farmed out to various people. We think when we ask for them back, we get them back. But, if I were king in the forest, I wouldn't ask for any of them back. I'd put in new appliances. So we'll see how much money we have when we get there, but that's what I would do. So that's it. So does that answer the kitchen question to your satisfaction? Are there any other questions about the kitchen? Yeah, Lori. We have no intention to put cabinets back. Yeah, no intention of no cabinets. You know, there were a lot of things in those cabinets, and, I'm not sure all of them were used or necessarily needed. We're gonna have shelving space for all the stuff that our cooks need. So we'll stock the kitchen so that it's usable. I mean, that's all I can say. But I'm leaning on people who do that stuff all the time to tell you need this, you need this, you need this, you need this. So I have leaned on Carney in the past, but I'm talking to John Michael Wall among others. Okay, so.
I have a question about the, storage spaces. We have a lot of storage space tucked upstairs by the other kitchen and.
Other kitchen upstairs, you
There
mean?
was another kitchen upstairs.
Right.
Storage space in
Right.
there, under the stairways and something, so.
We have storage space built into the back of the big room upstairs, and that's all I know about.
The storage under the stairs is still there?
The storage under the stairs that's on the main hall, that will still be there. There'll be the big cabinets will be underneath the windows in the back. They're tall enough that we can roll the tables in and put chairs in there to reconfigure the room.
Isn't Hollis,
Hollis' room is still there. It'll be refitted out. And the storage room off of the main fellowship hall will still be there. It's for storage for chairs and tables, et cetera.
yeah, so that's it, basically, that's almost all the storage. It's all coming back, plus we have the storage for the upstairs. Any other questions? Churches, all churches, are notoriously bad about storage space because it's expensive to build and you don't want to waste space on storage. So we have more than normal, if you'll notice it. Any other questions? Well, you guys are pretty docile tonight. Must be the rain. All right. That provoked us something.
So the nursing room back here?
The nursing room back here will disappear. It turns into a restroom, a one-person ADA compliant, turn your wheelchair around restroom.
And are they gonna use any of that space for restrooms?
So the space where the, furniture is currently over here in the back, a bunch of it will be taken up by the expansion of the bathroom. Yeah, I don't know if all of it will, but a significant amount.
Is there gonna be another baby room for nursing room?
The nursing room will be down the hall. There'll be space down the hall for a cry room. Question? Yeah, I don't, ask me a question on the microphone, so I don't understand what you're saying.
Video feed, that's what I was asking.
Yeah, there will be a video feed, there must be a video feed into the car room, yeah. If things go well, we'll turn this room into something like a video studio. That's what's needed. We need to get our video feed out of here. So we'll need lighting behind me, we'll need sound that works well, which we're pretty close to that. And we'll need a good video camera or two. Plus, we want to videotape Dr. Steve Hawthorne as he gets along in years and has so much wisdom to add. And get Dr. Steve Hawthorne out on the World Wide Web. Steve's channel.
Yeah, we have to get some wood panels.
We get some wood paneling, that's right. Steve, right in front of you.
Now, Steve's gonna add it again, when will we go to the porta potty?
The porta.
And also, when do we need to be this end of the building? Will we leave this end of the building?
We will never leave this end of the building. This room will always be used, and the porta potties will begin at the end of May. So the months of June and July are porta potty months. June and July, porta potty months.
Will they be air conditioned, June?
They will not be air conditioned. In fact, I just want you to know that I pushed back against the board when they said we should put a Visa card swiper on those bad boys. And then it was, I'm not gonna say who, but somebody said, and then when they get inside, we'd have another one for the toilet paper. So that's your board members. Let me be clear about something with the porta potties. The porta potties are for the people in this room to use. We cannot allow adults to go out the door, around the corner, and all the way over here to the lighthouse to use the restrooms. So we can't have adults during our children's classrooms walking in and out of those buildings over there. So we must use the porta potties. Is that clear? And I'll talk more about that on Sunday morning. But the porta potties are to service this room full of people, about 160 to 200 people.
Where will porta potties be?
Porta potties will be right out here on the sidewalk.
Will they have air conditioning?
They will not be air conditioned. Scott?
We're looking at a couple of choices. This flower bed over here, we're gonna have to clean out because it's actually causing us some drainage problems. So we may end up doing that early and set them on the north side, so they're not in the sun.
Oh, they're in the shade, okay.
That helps.
They're in the shade. This is a pretty public situation. Yeah, so,
Suggestion about the credit card slides, it has one of them air conditioning.
oh, the air, that's the one with the, yes, right, yeah, fundraiser with the air conditioning. Okay, please, on the microphone, somebody. That wasn't a question? Oh, yeah. Okay, Marty has a question. It's only 2 months, 7 or 8 Sundays. Use the restroom before you come to church. Okay, Marty.
There are different classes of porta potties. Are we getting the cheapest? Have we popped it up to where we get something a little bit?
In my plan, it's the cheapest. The cheapest. And, I'm happy to receive a special offering to bump them up to the next deal. I have no idea what that costs, you know. Scott?
Can you make one of them ADA compliant?
I don't know. Is that possible?
Yes, it is.
So I imagine we're required to do that. What's that? Yeah, I'm sure we have to, yeah. So my counselor's over here saying, oh, you must. I'm like, okay. Whatever. I get all kinds of counsel from time to time.
Some of it good.
Yeah, some of it I listen to and some of them I pretend to listen to. Are there any other questions or even comments? It's okay to make comments at this point.
Nancy Friedman has a comment.
Sure.
A question. She wants to know, how much do we still need to raise for this project?
Okay, that's the next section. But I think this is really cool. It's a pretty high-tech deal. People are calling in or sending in their stuff by email, and we answer them, hey, how you doing? All that kind of stuff. Like, that's pretty cool. I'm getting to you in just a second, Nance. Are there any other comments or questions? Okay. Okay, first Elwood and then,
So at one point it was mentioned that the solid plan, possibility of renting the building once it's
Sure.
to a school. Is everything still in line for that to be a
All right.
possibility?
So, that's still part of the financing, portion of your program tonight. But yes, it's still in process. We're in talks. We have a really good team that's working on that. The problem with that is we cannot give a school a date when they can move in. We cannot. And so we will not, and therefore we can't sign a contract. But we would love for that to happen. Our hope now is that somebody will agree to come in here by January the 1st. It could happen earlier than that, but you know, you hear Scott talk about we want to get the CO by the first part of September. That's part of what's driving that, right? But we don't know. So.
Actually, sorry, it's not that with the
I'll wait till you get on the microphone, because
that sort of ties into the question on the amount of storage. If you're doing dual purpose, they might need to lock away their stuff. I don't know if that's.
Yeah, part of our negotiation with the school is what kind of storage facilities they need, what kind of issues they need for safety with children, that sort of thing. That's all being negotiated very well by Donna Rowe, Lori McDonald, and Jim Davis. That's the committee that's doing that. And they're doing a great job. Great job. On?
Why can't you go use the bathrooms in my house?
Because we don't want to interrupt the children's program. What's that? Yeah, safety and security issues. It's not that we won't be mean to adults. We can't have adults we can't have adults walking in and out where children are playing that aren't vetted, et cetera. All the children's workers with the blue shirts, they've been vetted, background checked, all kinds of stuff. So the average adult here has not. Well, that's not true at Hope Chapel. Most everybody's working for a holla. But we still want people in a random way walking in there where the kids are. It's a safety issue. Hey, man, come on, suck it up. 2 months, porta potties. You guys need to grow.
You're going to the Appalachian Trail, let's see this.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be
It is. Oh, yeah, but I'm not going to restrooms on the Appalachian Trail. I can tell you that. So, yeah.
Amazing job, Susie, love it.
Love that too. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is I'm going to talk about financing of the project, and then we'll take more questions as we go along here. All right, so here we go. Basically, this is a run-up on how we got our money. We received $120,000 in an insurance settlement 2 times. Thank you to Susie and Cosmo with the Austin Marathon. We did a matching grant where we put in $10,000 and they gave us $10,000. That's another $40,000. That gets up to $160,000. And then, let me see if I got the right number here. We received, $605,000 in gifts in 2 different capital campaigns. That's actual money received, that's not pledges, that's money that you gave. So essentially, Hope Chapel has given almost 3 years' worth of, average income in 2 years' time. That's an amazing thing. You guys have done a great job there. So 765, I gotta turn around and those numbers. 765,000 to date. Next slide. I can look down here, right? Not very bright. 1.4 million to complete the task. So we've raised 765, so we need another $635,000 to pay it off. Everybody say 635. 1, 2, 3. Well done. $635,000. So that's more than we've raised to date. Right, so here's what I want to propose. So let's go to the next one. I want to propose that we set a date, 14 months from now, June 1, 2019, and we all start by praying and say, Lord, how can I help to pay down the debt? And then begin to work toward that end. Most of us are not wealthy, and so most of us live, month to month, that sort of thing. So we need some planning in order to be able to give substantial gifts. And so that's what we're saying. Please make a plan to walk in here June the 1st, 2019, with a substantial gift to help pay down the debt. $700,000 borrowed at 4.5% is a payment of $5,700. Every $100,000 we pay the debt down will reduce our monthly outgo by $800. We need to get our outgo down below $4,000 a month so that when we lease the building to a school, the amount of money we receive from the lease will actually pay the mortgage and give us some extra money for the light bills and that sort of thing. That was fast, but I'm happy to say it again if you'd like me to do that. I've been living with these numbers for a long time. They're stuck to the back of my eyeballs. Okay, would somebody get Jay a microphone?
So, just doing the math in my head, instead of 5,700 a month,
Right.
300K,
About
$200,000.
$250,000, I think, is kind of the minimum. Thanks for asking that question. That's great. Yeah.
But it'd be awesome if we raised the whole.
635. Because if we walk away from this with no debt, then we have money to do some more things, right? We can do some stuff. Any other comments or questions? Or everybody taking a deep breath? I'm calling it D-Day just because it's close. I don't mean to be sacrilegious to our veterans. I could call it DR Day to distinguish it, Debt Reduction Day. Steve Hawthorne.
So do we have possible customers for the school?
Do we have possible customers for the school? Yes. Yes, we're in. Well, we have one very serious one. We have another one that's very interested for the fall of 2019 that they sort of expressed some interest. But the one that we're in conversation with is, as you might understand, justifiably disappointed that it took us so long to get started that it pushed us into the fall of 2018. So I'm not sure. I hope we still have them, but we haven't heard back from them in a while.
Deborah Conca asked, how much is needed to bring it down below 4,000? Sounded like Gina was saying that was key.
$250,000, $250,000. So anybody that wants to pony that up and then the rest of us go on easy street, that's fantastic. We did $605,000 in 18 months, dearly beloved. $250,000 just doesn't seem like a lot to me. And we ran Hope Chapel, and to the tune of about $685,000 in income. That's just, and that, as you all know these terms, that is unrestricted income. And then another $250,000 in restricted income for missions and a whole bunch of other stuff. So Hope Chapel routinely spending $1 million a year, plus raising this capital campaign. It's a very generous church. You do not see me up here complaining. I'm not complaining. I'm happy. Earl?
So I have a question a little far afield.
Sure.
And feel free not to answer.
Sure.
So I've been kind of curious about the drawdown of membership over this
Sure.
period, and I've seen it happen in real life, but
Sure.
on numbers. And my assumption is that once we're done, we'll probably see some rebound,
Yeah.
I hope. And I was thinking one thing that might promote that would be some kind of happy grand opening, re-invite everybody.
Oh, yeah, we have a plan for a grand opening that involves the neighborhood. We think we went about our neighborhood, neighbors, and we think a bunch of them actually. But yeah, we just got done with Deb Dorman Gala. That was a pretty good deal. So I think we have the creative bones to.
And it brought a lot of our old friends back.
Yeah.
But I was curious if there was any projections about how our income has gone down with membership.
Right.
And what we could see with the rise, because I would assume that might really help us. in the future.
We have not seen a dramatic decline in income. We've seen some, but not dramatic. And I don't know how to track that anymore. It doesn't seem to me that, attendance and income are all that well connected. And I've been watching Hope Chapel for 10 years now. Surely this, to some degree, our average attendance has gone from about 300 on Sunday morning to about 275. So, yeah, our average is still around 270, 275. So, that's 10%, right? And I don't think we've seen a 10% income reduction. I don't think so.
Sounds like we've lost a lot more people than that, so I'm surprised by that.
Yeah, well, they're averages, We'll have 230, 240 one Sunday and 290 or 300 the next one. So Hope Chapel's a weird place. It's a weird place. And I used to think, well, when it's sunny, they don't come. Then I used to think, when it's raining, they don't come. I think, well, when it's cold, they don't come. I don't have any idea why people come. I don't have any idea. I assume they're coming for worship. I hope they don't quit coming because Deb's not leading worship anymore. I don't think that's the case. But maybe some of you could sit me down and say, well, this is why I come, Gino. Send me an email, ginohill@gmail.com. That's it. There's no magic. Those are the numbers. I do think Scott and Tim are going to come in under budget, and they're going to beat the time. I think they're going to get it done. Tim is a very encouraging guy to be around. He's very encouraged. He loves what he's doing. He loves serving Hope Chapel. So he's a tough guy. I'm going to wind it down unless you've got something else to ask me. All right. So let's do this. Let's gather in groups of 2 or 3 and just ask the Lord's favor on Tim and on Scott, on the project, and on our finances. Can we do that? Just groups of 2 or 3. And then in about 5 minutes, I'll close this up. Okay, dear beloved, I think it's time for us to wrap it up and go home. Bill was reminding me that we had talked about at the board level that, one of the things we want to do when the framing is up and completed or near completion is have a time when we gather together and go in here and bless the building and write on the studs, various verses and prayers of blessing. So be thinking about that, because I think that will happen. And the last thing I want to say is the prime directive for the construction is stop the leaks. Stop the leaks. And Scott has communicated that to Tim, and now Tim is saying that. The prime directive is stop the leaks. So we're going to have, this building will have a new roof, as will the rest of the buildings. So we're going to be able to go forward from there. Yeah, a new skylight too, yeah. I actually lobbied briefly for no skylight, and, the rest of the board said, "Are you kidding, Gino? You would never survive that." So,
Will it be the same size?
yeah, I think it'd be the same size.
It'll be the same size, but we're gonna actually do a formal curb on it this time, so it won't be curbless. This is a curbless one.
Curbless, yeah.
Probably shows exactly they age, they leak.
Okay, skylight with curbs. Wouldn't you come up here and say a closing prayer? Why don't y'all stand up? Let's do that.
It's an invention. Lord, we thank you that you are King of Kings and Lord of Lords, and we are here as your people, and we want your name to be known across the galaxy. So, Lord, we thank you that you've put fantastic people like Scott and Tim and Susie and the entire staff at Hope Chapel and all the folks who call Hope Chapel home here at this time, in this moment. And we ask, Father, that you would just pour out your Spirit on all here, on all who come to our building, anybody who passes by, that they would see and know you. You are the true one God. We thank you for the finances that you've given us and blessed us with, and we thank you for the ones that you're going to continue to pour into us. And we look forward to the day when we can look back on all of these things and say, there's God's hand. See that? That's God's hand. And then we can see the path that we walked with you in this moment. Bless us in this time and keep us safe. In Jesus' name, amen.
Hug 3 people before you leave. 3. Gotta be 3.
And don't forget to go out with joy.